Coaches, welcome to Championship Culture. Got a fantastic guest. Blair Thompson is the head football coach at Salem High School in Indiana, and he was one of the lucky few that got to have their first year head gig as the COVID year. Luckily, he was the already at the school. He was the D coordinator at the school, so that made it a little easier. But I still, man, I don't know how. I've had 3 or 4 guys come on the channel that have went through that, and I know that had to be tough. How many? You told me you got hired in April, and then what? A week later went home.
Yeah, about a week and a half later, we were sent home. So I got to meet the guys one day, and after that, it was learning how to do Zoom meetings and trying to install a new offense over the summer, really. And we had 11 practices, 11 official practices before our first game. And so I canceled our scrimmage with another opponent. Just because we were scared that we didn't want to get any cases and miss a game. So we had our senior night week 1, thinking that might be the only game we got in. So we had senior night 2.0 at the end of the season. So the guys got had a couple of nights for that. But we were fortunate; we didn't have any cases at all during the season. We had some kids that had to get quarantined because they're in proximity in the classroom. But we were real fortunate. Our trainer kept us on our toes, and she was all over us, and making sure we had everything taken care of. And the boys knew that they had to do what they had to do to play some games. So it went well.
I felt like our kids kind of they knew what had to happen in order to play. You guys got lucky. You got 10 games in, except for your 2 biggest rivals. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, we lost our first 2 games of the season, and really I think it was just because we weren't prepared, And then we went on a 7-game win streak to close out the season, and then 2 games at our county rivals. There's three schools in our county here in rural Indiana, and pretty big nights for the boys. And one canceled at noon on Friday, and the other canceled Thursday night about 10:30 p.m. So we're not really quite sure what the background of that was, but we'll get a chance to play them again next year for sure.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, buddy, I sure appreciate you doing this, and let's go ahead and jump right in. Can you give a 1-minute elevator introduction of yourself?
Yeah, sure, Coach. Blair Thompson from Salem High School here in southern Indiana. We're about 40 miles north of Louisville, Kentucky, and about 40 miles south of Bloomington, where IU Indiana University is at. So we're stuck right here in the middle of farm community. For me personally, Coach, I would say I was like the minor league bus guy. I've kind of really paid my dues from the start. I was fortunate enough to do my student teaching under a Hall of Fame coach at Reed May at Brownstown Central High School in Indiana, and I really wanted to see how he changed his program in 2 years, really. And so I strategically placed myself there, hoping I could learn something from him, and obviously I did. He's been wonderful throughout my career. And then I went back to my alma mater at Salem High School, and I started at the middle school. I coached both sides of the ball, became the head coach of the middle school, went up to the high school level, coached offense, defense at the junior varsity level, became the junior varsity head coach. Then went back, and then I was offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator, and now I'm the head coach here at Salem after about 18 years of riding that minor league bus. So I think it really helped me in the long run because I got to see the good, the bad, and the ugly from different coaches along the way that we had, and it just really kind of rounded me as far as being a coach. That we say that we don't want to be the guy. We don't expect people to do something we wouldn't do ourselves. Well, I've been that guy. So it really helps me with my younger coaches. And get to understand kind of what their thought process is, because as an assistant for 17 years, that little bit of, hey, great job there, or a text or a phone call and say, hey, I really appreciate what you did, for me personally went a long way as an assistant coach, and I try to model that too. So it's been a long haul, but we're excited to have the opportunity and hopefully get to practice all summer long this summer.
I tell you, it's that's not common anymore. That used to be the way things happened back in the day. You'd pay your dues, you'd start on the lower levels, but nowadays it seems like it doesn't happen that way. So it's refreshing to see a guy who did pay the dues, and literally there's nothing you can tell an assistant coach to do that you haven't done yourself. So that's probably a good conversation to have with the young guys.
Right, for sure. And I think, Coach, it was the right time. I think there was a couple of times that I got passed over for a head coaching job that I thought I was going to leave, and the timing, ended up not being right. I feel like last year, even though it was a timing in the middle of the pandemic, for me personally, we had some good players, we had some success, and I think that just it all fell in the right place for sure.
Well, that's awesome, man. Awesome. All right, question number 2. How do you define culture in your program?
Yeah, that's one of the things that that I've been able to really bring in. I think, Coach, from the perspective is I've been able to see it happen from different different angles. I've had 2 Hall of Fame coaches I've worked under. One was real old school, I would say, as far as the tough mentality. The really didn't work on player relationships as much. And right now with Indiana University and Coach Allen and what he's been able to do with Indiana and really shows culture at the college level, which I think has gotten lost, and it's such a business now that a lot of head coaches don't fall into that trying to build that relationship because it's so demanding on winning. You know what I mean? And I think so for me personally, I just really wanted to, we had a lot of success in the early 90s and the early 2000s, or late 90s, early 2000s. And I had to kind of get these guys to understand that, we need to be prideful of our past. So I really embraced our past, the people who played before us, who coached before me. And then really tried to get the kids to understand that we got to compete every single day. And that we need to be proud of where we're from, and really try to love, like Coach Allen says, his hashtag's Leo, love everyone, right? So, and that's what we try to do is just, we don't have kids moving into our school. We don't have, we don't have the D1 athletes showing up. So we gotta get everybody that we can out for our program, and we got to build those relationships. So, for me personally, it's just, being the leader of your schools, being a leader of the community, and really, understanding that we kind of hold ourselves to a higher standard, Coach.
I love it. I was just thinking and it's probably because you were in the program, so you bleed the program. But it seems like when new coaches come in, they want to change everything, and I always thought that was and I'm talking like helmets and jerseys and that kind of stuff. I always thought that was a mistake, because the community identified with those old helmets and those old jerseys, and it seems like every young kid that takes over wants to radically change everything. And I was the opposite. When I came into Hopton, I wanted to go back to the old helmets and old jerseys, to kind of relive the glory days, because we wanted to get back to where we were before. So I don't know why I just thought that when you were talking. Obviously it helped you being in the program so long.
Yeah, and I think that's something, we really hadn't had much success for about a 10-year period. And we brought a coach in who had 4 state championships. We felt like, that was going to work, but he came from a bigger school. We're a 3A school. Indiana's 6 to 1A. We're a 3A school. He'd been in a 6A school, and it just didn't work. He was a great X and O guy, but the relationship wasn't there, and it wasn't a fit in our community. I learned a lot from him. A huge part of what I do now, I learned from him and how hard he worked and how to prepare. But a lot of people in our community thought, oh, we're going to win a state championship just because we brought this guy in, and he didn't have that. He didn't have that culture that we talk about to get the most out of our kids. And our kid wasn't the same kid that he was used to in Indianapolis when he came into rural Indiana.
Unfortunately, I see that happen, over and over. Question number 3, it's happened to me too. You just can't transport one program and put it in a new place. It doesn't always work that way.
Right.
And that's a hard lesson to learn sometimes. All right. Question number 3, What are the 3 best things you do to build culture in your program?
Yeah, the first thing I did, Coach, was I came in and I totally redid our entire locker room. So our locker room had not been painted. It was gray walls. We're black and gold, or black and yellow like you guys are. So I went and got the brightest yellow paint I could. We painted the entire locker room yellow. I went and got some vinyls made. I went to some vinyls. My coach, Coach Jim Ralston, was the winningest coach here at Salem. And, he had a quote that, work hard, do things correctly, and good things are going to happen. And I went and got a huge vinyl of that and stuck it on the wall behind my desk in my office. I got a lion to put on the outside of our door entering our locker room vinyl. So, that's the locker room for the football team. And we really just tried to build up our area. Okay. So we are at 60+% free and reduced lunch area. So our kids live in our locker room, right? And they stay in our locker room. And we wanted to make that a place for to welcome them as much as we could. We got a foosball table in there. We got a couple of TVs where they can play PlayStation and Xboxes, and sit and study in there in the mornings. And some of them get there at 6 o'clock in the morning because they don't want to be home. And so we really tried to get that to be a place where it was their home. It was a safe spot. And really, that was a huge difference for us, Coach. And you can see the culture shift early on. Obviously, we couldn't be in there very long early in the summer, but as the season went on, just seeing the seniors hanging out with the freshmen playing foosball or sitting at the table or helping with their homework, they never really had an area where they could do that. And that was something that I felt like I was really proud of, that my staff and I were able to come up with. And, it wasn't rocket science, but it just, it took us a day to get it all where we needed to be. And it just made a huge difference on our program and where we wanted to go. The second one, Coach, we like to call the wheel of misery. It's something that we have a giant spinning wheel that we sit up in our locker room. And when I came in, I had 32 kids with an F, one F in the program, or in their classes. And I said, guys, we're not going to do that. That's not who we are. We're getting back to doing things correctly, and good things are going to happen. And so whenever I get an email from a teacher, or we do weekly grade checks from the counselors, I let the kids come up with the punishment. And we on Thursdays before we go out to pregame, you come up and you spin that wheel if you got an F or you did something silly during the week, and whatever that lands on is what you got to do. And my kids, they love it. The kids that are doing the things the right way and doing things the way they should, they're standing up and down, and when that wheel's spinning, they're cheering and screaming. And we just finished up our last grade check today, Coach, and we have one kid with a failing grade now. So we went from 32 to 1 in less than a year. So the biggest punishment that they hated the most was to have to write a letter to their teacher apologizing. So the running or whatever wasn't bad, but it was having to write a letter to the teacher and tell them that they were sorry for their actions or for not turning their homework in. So that was a huge one, and we have a kick out of that. And we write their names up on the board, and it's time to go in front of their peers. So a little peer pressure, it goes a long way when it talks about doing things the right way.
Well, hats off to you on that. Going 32 to 1, that's huge. That's getting their minds right pretty quick.
Yeah, and it was tough when we were sitting home for distance learning, but now we're back in school, and really and the seniors really are leading that. I think that's I've heard that often on your podcast. A player-led program, right, is what we all want, and being able to do that has been huge for our kids and our program as well. And it's the expectation now, and we get what we allow, right? We talked about that for years, and we don't allow kids to have bad grades. I need our kids in our situation have got to have grades to be able to get out and do something with their life. We don't want a door to close. We want them to have options. And I tell them, I don't care what you want to do with your life, but I want you to have an option. I don't want you to have to be stuck in a job that you hate for 30 years of your life because you didn't have that opportunity. And so Getting a 16, 17, 18-year-old kid to realize that is tough, as you know. But I think that the more we push it, the more we make that a focal point, it's going to be big for them in the future. And then the last thing is something that I'm proud of as well, Coach. And the football team for about 5 to 10 years had a bad reputation of thinking that they're better than some of the other programs in our school. And I wanted to make sure that that wasn't the case anymore. So we take a day. I sit down the choir director, the theater director, soccer coach, softball, baseball, every sport and every activity, and I have them give me a date, one date, and I tell them that we're going to bring my team to their event and cheer them on, whatever it is. And so if we went to a choir concert, there were 60 kids sitting in the back, right? Football players. And soccer match, soccer and football. Our kicker is a soccer player, and it's won football games for us. We're at a soccer match with our guys. We had a softball game coming up or last week where we took grills out to the girls softball game, grilled out in the outfield, and cheered on our girls softball team. And that's I think that's something that I'm really proud of that we've been able to accomplish. And the kids, it opens their mind. Now I got 7 kids in the choir because they went to something and they liked it. And I think that just showing that you're a leader in your school and setting the example of being those kids instead of some knuckleheads that want to make fun of other programs or not participate or not see that, hey, we're the leaders and we need to show it. If we want to talk like we're better than everybody, then we need to go out and support everybody and be the leaders of the show.
Coach, that's fantastic, man. You're the first one that I've heard that idea from, and man, what a winner! I bet that has a drastic impact on the perception of your school community on your football team. And again, hats off, man. That's fantastic.
I appreciate it, Coach. It's, the biggest thing is, these kids, when we played, all we wanted to do was play football at Salem, right? Or wherever we were at. And that's all we had. In a small town, this is where it's at, but now anymore, these kids have so much they can do and so much social media and phones and games and, just getting them to enjoy the process of being part of a team and understanding that, we all have something that's going on in our lives and some, it's not always great. And, but being part of something and being part of something that makes other people happy, can make your not so great life feel pretty good.
Well, that's fantastic stuff, man. I can see why you're getting it rolling so quick. Question number 4. This will be a great one for you. Question number 4. What do you know now that you wish you knew when you first got started?
It's a long time ago, right? Really, Coach, the biggest thing is the amount of time that I thought I had to put into things. I was obviously first there, last to leave. I would sit down, on Saturdays. Sometimes we'd have meetings from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And really try to every possible scenario that we could think of on the dry erase board. Right? Well, what if instead of getting bet, instead of stopping as a defensive guy, instead of stopping their 4 best runs, 4 best passes, and let's go play ball, make sure we can line up to their formations. I was a grinder and I was a grinder at practice. And so now we buy into the less is more philosophy. Last year, we were in total pads, pants and all, 0 times. So we're helmets only on Tuesday. We're against pads on Tuesday. We go through everything we need to full speed, and then we put our shoulder pads on Wednesday, and we get after it. But we don't tackle to the ground, and we had 0 injuries last year in Indiana. Everybody makes the tournament, so we were fresh coming into the playoffs, and I feel like it used to be, Coach, the happiest 2 days of our players were the days they got their equipment and the days they turned them in. Okay. And this year, it was, we want to still play. Like, we want to go. Like, we're not done. We want to keep going. And, we lost in the sectional final this year. First time we've been in the sectional final in 25 years at Salem. And it was like, they wanted more, and that's what I want to leave. That's what if I were to have anything to say to the people just starting out is you don't have to be a grinder. It's not line up and smash heads for 2 hours. My defense coach, we may run 10 plays on air or 10 plays in scout on a Wednesday, and they may just be dominating, right? They know how to line up and they're getting after it and they're crushing people. And I'm like, all right, we're done. Back them off. We're done. And they get all mad at me because they want to keep going, right? But I bring them back so then on Friday, they're ready to go. And it used to be that my philosophy was, we're going to work so hard in practice that Friday's easy. Well, I flipped that. And now it's Friday's going to be hard, but we're going to prepare and we're going to be fresh and we're going to be healthy. And, we go an hour and 45 minutes of practice, coach. That's it. But it's go, 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 go. There's no downtime. We coach off film. We don't sit there and talk for 10, 15 minutes about things. We coach off film, and I think the kids really like it. We have music playing, and we have music playing at practice, which our practice field is along a walking trail, so we got to be careful on what kind of music the kids want to play. But we'll have rock Tuesdays, and we'll have country Wednesdays, and rap Thursdays, and they get to pick what they hear that day, and just kind of give them some ownership of the practice a little bit. And we just we do a lot of the same things. And I got the idea, coach, from the Colts when I went up and watched the Colts in spring training not spring training, but spring ball a couple of years ago, and they were in pro pads, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of weird, And one of the coaches said, do I want to hurt this player? At the time, do I want to get my running back hurt in the middle of spring over something stupid because we're in the middle of practice knocking each other's heads off, and it was totally different than anything I've ever done, totally different than anything I've ever heard about. But, we're an option team. We're a pistol triple option, like Georgia Southern was in last year and a couple of years past. And we kind of migrated from the Paul Johnson triple to the pistol triple where we're off the ball now. But, our fullbacks take a beating. So we wanted to make sure we keep those guys healthy. And, I got a couple of coaches that are older than myself on staff, and they thought I was crazy. I mean, there was a couple of parents who would come to our practice and be like, who is this guy? I told you we shouldn't hire this guy, what I mean? But it really paid off. And we were focused on speed, and we got, in my high school, coach, we got to get every athlete out that we can, like I said. And, we got basketball kids wanting to play now because we're not lining up and busting heads for 2.5 hours. They want to come catch passes, right? Or they want to come score touchdowns. And so just it's been a real positive for us. And, Coach Dixon out in Illinois, Tony Holler with the Feed the Cats program, kind of took some of their philosophy and put that into what we do. And, Coach Holler's big thing is don't burn the steak, and we don't want to burn the steak, and we get after it and then see where it falls.
Do you run one side of the ball?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Which side?
Well, I just switched over to the offensive side this year.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been a defensive guy my whole life. And so I switched to the offensive side this year just because I wanted to make the switch from the Johnson triple to the Georgia Southern to Bassett triple.
And obviously the transition went well.
Yeah, it did. Like I said, we had 11 practices. So we early on, we lost our first game in double overtime, fumbles going across the goal line. And then we lost the second game this season. And then we went 7 straight, and we really started, clicking on all cylinders. And, Coach, we never ran zone blocking before this year. So I put zone blocking in 11 days. I put a new offensive in 7 days. And, the kids really bought into it and started believing in themselves. And, I think it's been a blessing for us for sure.
The flex bone beat me in a state championship game one year, so I'm always a little salty about option guys.
Well, we were having trouble, Coach, getting the edge blocked because we can't chop block in Indiana with the edge. So it was something that was giving us fits, and we went down to Georgia Southern and met with them, and we did a lot of Zoom calls with Coach, and really helped us get to the edge better. And now that we got these athletes coming out from different sports that we didn't have before, we got a lot more speed in our team, and it really allowed us to get to the edge for sure.
Well, Coach, you did a fantastic job. I'm going to have you back to teach us a little pistol triple option. I know guys are going to want to contact you because you just had some unique, really good ideas. What I know you're on Twitter. Can you share your Twitter handle?
Yeah, it's Coach Thompson B. ThompsonB.
Okay, and I'll have it in the show notes.
Okay.
And then anything else you want to anything you want to promote, anything you got the last word, anything you want to talk about.
Coach, I just really appreciate, one of the things that I love, I coach, Indiana's a basketball state, right? Well, we say we were, but now with Coach Allen getting things rolling in Indiana, we don't know if we're basketball or football now. But, one of the things that I love, I coached some basketball too before I got into just full-time football. And, the basketball coaches in Indiana would close their doors and they don't tell you anything, And the thing that I love about football and football coaches across the America is that, we're an open book and you're able to share and learn and take and borrow. And I think that's the biggest thing. If anybody's, just starting out there and, I know I'm just a first year head coach and I had no idea what that was going to entail. Right. I mean, you tell yourself, I asked the guy that I did my student teaching for, I said, Coach, do you think I'm ready to be the guy? And he said, you're never ready, and I didn't understand what he meant by that, but and I do now. But I think that's the thing is just, you don't have to reinvent the wheel, right? The game's always blocking, tackling, and that's all it's about. And I think that a lot of young guys think that you can win by amount of plays that you run and amount of schemes that you put out there. And I think, if I were to give any advice, it's just, to go back to the basics. Coach, we got 5 running plays. That's it. And so we run a lot of different formations out of those 5 running plays and a lot of window dressing, but our kids can run those five running plays in their sleep. And I think that, that's the thing that a lot of people lose sight of, especially when they watch some of the college offenses and think, I don't have that guy. I got to scheme it up. And that's not, I don't really think that's the case for a winning formula. And, and just make where you're at the best place, I think we get caught up in, I wish I had that guy, or I wish I had that, or I wish I had this. And, you got to sell your program like your program is the absolute best program on earth. And not just in your school, not just in your conference, but on the planet, and I think that's helped us is that now the kids that are walking the hallways at Salem High School are like, I want to be part of that. That looks fun. He's posting things about individual kids' times and bench presses and, grades and all this stuff. And he's giving, recognition, which, my kids don't get much at home. Right. And so it makes them feel really important. I think just, if I were to give any bit of advice, Coach, and obviously, I'm not the best X and O guy in the world, but I will tell you this: that once you make your place the best and make your kids feel that way, a high school kid with confidence can do a lot of positive things for you.
That was fantastic, man. There was something in there for the young guys and the old guys as far as don't do too much and make your place the best place in the world. That's pretty dang strong, man. You did a great job, buddy. And you didn't even talk about your son today. How'd the baseball game go?
Yeah, he started on the mound today, Coach. So I tell you, I've coached in some big games, Coach, but nothing makes me more nervous than watching my 9-year-old on the football field or on the mound. And I make a joke to some of my friends like, "Why am I so nervous at a little league baseball game?" So, but we have a lot of fun, and we're gone every weekend playing some baseball right now. But it's a nice release for us, to have some fun, and he enjoys it, and I love having him on the sidelines and. And it's not, he leads the boys out on the field and he just loves it. So just seeing the excitement in his eyes and having him on the sidelines, it's a blessing. I'm truly blessed for sure.
I tell you, I know yours is a stud, but probably the biggest lesson I ever learned coaching was my youngest daughter was playing volleyball on the high school team, and she was a bench rider, and there was a game where they were losing really bad, and he put in the backups. So they got just a little bit, and she was so excited, and I was so excited, and it really changed my mindset. I used to be if we get ahead, we'll put them in, but if we're losing, we got to put the gas on, and it really changed my mindset on how important it is to those guys who don't get a lot of playing time to get them into the game and get them some playing time, and so that just reminded me you so excited about your son there, but I think all the parents like that. They just want to see him out there just a little bit, and it makes everyone a lot happier. So
Yeah, I think it's
man,
one of the things, Coach, and I know we got to go here, but one of the things that I think is also important is, the guy that I started my student teaching with at the middle school level, he had his starters and he had his number ones, and so the starters were actually the backups, and so the first series, the starters on offense, the number twos would start the game, and the best players would start on defense to help, hopefully stop the other team. But to those kids, starting to them was awesome, and they were a starter and they were part of something. And it was he didn't punish the kids in junior high by running. They didn't run at all. There was no conditioning at all. He just wanted to make sure that those kids got to him when they got to high school, because you can't coach them if they don't get to you. And I think that was a great lesson for me, as well as we want every kid we can have, in a school our size, like I've said multiple times. And and I think you're exactly right. And I lost a kid to a car accident early on in my career, that was on my team, and I didn't know him very well. He was a bench rider, okay, and I didn't make an attempt to get to know him personally. And it was something that really stuck with me, Coach. And I made a point from the rest of my career that I was going to know every single kid, and I can do that. I only have 72 kids on my roster. I don't have 200 kids. But I made a point that there wasn't going to be a kid that went through our program, even as an assistant, that I didn't know on a personal level. And I think that once you build those relationships, we have to build those relationships as coaches, because to us that's our legacy, and what we're here for on this planet Earth.
well said, man. You knocked this out of the park. I sure am
Appreciate it,
glad you
Coach.
came on. You a lot of wisdom, man. A lot of wisdom. I
Well,
appreciate you doing this, buddy.
all right, Coach. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, buddy.
Bye bye.